Hey dear beloveds, I am just getting myself ready for day 2 of our sadhana, and this seems to have become the t-shirt. I promise I won't wear it every day. I do wash my clothes, but certainly the t-shirt that's giving me a sense of, I guess it's the symbol of what we're all doing here, which is, you know, being like Jesus and dealing with the hard things and not saying no to God, even though we'd like things to be a little bit different to how things are playing out right now. So for those of you who have been joining me so far, today is day 2 of our sadhana, which is our spiritual journey, our commitment to get a bit uncomfortable and to show up even when it's inconvenient to our devotion. Because as spiritually fierce ones, those of us on the path of sacred leadership, it's our job to recognize that at times that challenge us, it is when we need to be stepping up rather than stepping back and falling into our muggle selves. We need to really get fierce in our commitment to hold a higher vibration, to hold a vibration that's disproportionate to evidence, because a lot of people around us don't know how to do that. A lot of people are in their fear, and there's only one of us here. So our task on this path of awakening consciousness is to step into the truth that our leadership is to be the demonstration. And I'm not asking too much of you. I'm asking for 5 days, and each day I'm introducing a new practice, and that practice will add on to the day before. So yesterday we started with the long form of the Gayatri mantra. And I'm going to take us through that again. So that will be what we do for our day 2. We start with day 1's practice, and then we're going to work with day 2. And day 2, I'm just going to take you through a very simple tapping protocol that is part of the intuitive intelligence tapping developed by Angelique Adams. And this is informed by the work of Steve Wells. What I'm sharing with you is my daily devotion. So I'm sharing with you the tools that I use every day in my normal devotional practice. I have this kind of protocol of practices, if you like, and they inform everything that I do. And then sometimes I might add more things in, and some days I go to yoga and some days I don't. But this is like the foundation of my practice. And so I'm really excited to share it with you, because very often people will say to me that they don't know what to do with their devotion. Like, how do they actually show up every day? What is it that they're being asked to do? And so having a system to follow can make us feel really safe and comfortable and certain that we do know what to do. And of course, we don't want to go on autopilot with our practices ever. But if we keep really present to them, then we can have a real sense of foundation and anchoring in our devotion. And that's exactly what my devotion is for me right now. It's the anchor. It keeps bringing me back into my heart, bringing me back into the present, and helping me realize that I do have a choice. Even though I may not have a choice about what's happening in the world, I have a choice about my energetic response and my commitment to hold a vibration higher than external evidence would suggest. So what I'm going to do is just talk you through our day 2 practice for those who are not familiar with it, and then we'll go into the full sadhana for today, which is the long form of the Gayatri mantra, which I'll take us through 3 times, and then I'll take us through the intuitive intelligence tapping. So the way we're going to work with tapping, a lot of you will be familiar with EFT and tapping. This is a very simple practice, as I said, developed by Angelique Adams for the Institute. The 3rd level priestesses are trained in intuitive intelligence tapping, the most powerful fear releasing tool that we have on the planet. And this work is informed by Angelique's training with Steve Wells, who is based in WA. Very simply, you're going to tap on the side of your hand here, on that soft, fleshy side of the hand. And as you do that, we're going to use a particular statement. And the way that I'm going to work with this today is just to intuit what everyone here needs right now. But of course, you would work with for yourself on whatever fears were coming up for you. So the idea with tapping is that we're speaking our fears out loud. And we're doing that because when we face our fears face on or head on, we're actually able to release that stress from the body. We are working with the amygdala. We're actually moving out of that fight or flight response, and we're beginning to, really soften into our parasympathetic nervous system, and we're able to come back into that optimal functioning, to homeostasis. When we're in a stress response, it's very hard to do any of that. So we're going to just tap on the side of the hand, and the statement that we're using is, I now release all my emotional attachment. I now release all my emotional attachment. And then you're going to just speak to whatever's coming up for you. There might be something really, really obvious, like, I now release all my emotional attachment to my fear of this pandemic. And then you're just going to sit with that, eyes closed, deepening your breath, and notice what comes up underneath that fear. For those of you who are familiar with the micro method, you'll see parallels here in how we can work with the energy of going through the layers of our subconscious fear. And you will notice what perhaps comes up underneath that is, and you'll say it in the same statement, I now release all of my emotional attachment to this fear of being out of control. So you notice that in the first part of the statement, it's the personal pronoun. And in the second part of the statement, we're saying very clearly this, not my fear of loss of control, but this fear of loss of control. And we're taking it away from the personal and we're putting it out there, because what we're doing by speaking our fears out into the world is that we're actually releasing them. We're not storing them inside of us. We're not causing ourselves more suffering and more stress. We're actually moving them. And by tapping here, we're using the electromagnetic field of the body and the meridian lines of the body to set up a proper flow of life force. And we're clearing out those blocks. And then you just close your eyes, you'd breathe deeply, and notice what comes up underneath that. I now release all of my emotional attachment to my fear of the loss of my livelihood. Okay, and we're just going to keep working through the layers. And of course, when we get to it, this was just an example. I'll intuit on behalf of the group. But when you do this, because remember, we're building on this practice daily, you may find, or you will find your own fears. And please don't be afraid of using this as often as you need. You can use it as part of the sadhana, but you can also use it more broadly in your life. I tap every day, multiple times a day. It simply has such a profound evidence base for the way that it can help us move our subconscious fear up and out of our physiology and actually move ourselves out of that fight or flight response and come back into a state of balance. And it's profound work, because when we're in a state of stress, not only does our intuition shut down, we move out of our higher order thinking and we can't make good decisions. So we shut ourselves off from our highest forms of intelligence. So let's move into our sadhana for day 2, which will begin with 3 rounds of the long form of the Gayatri mantra. And then I'll take you through 3 rounds of tapping so that you can release your subconscious fear. That will be day 2. And then tomorrow I'll come back and we'll add to that with day 3. So if you're safe to do so, I invite you to close down your eyes now. And if that's not comfortable, just resting your gaze at a point in front of you. You can always come back to this later if you're not able to do this now. Take a deep breath in through the nose, let it go out through the mouth with an audible sigh. Doing that 2 more times, filling the belly as much as possible on the inhalation and holding at the top of the inhalation for as long as is comfortable for you. Breath retention is a really great way for us to move out of that fight or flight response as well. Exhaling. And if you're comfortable to do so, you can retain the breath at the bottom of the exhalation. And then exhaling. And breathing in at your own natural rhythm. Let your breathing return to its own natural rhythm. I'm going to begin with the 3 rounds. Now, if you joined me yesterday, you'll know that each of these first 7 phrases that I will repeat correlate to one of the chakras, beginning with the base. So you might like to place your hands on those chakras and use this as a chakra blessing or clearing at the same time that you're receiving the frequency of this Sanskrit chant. Remembering this chant has been uttered billions of times before, and we're tuning into that frequency. So we are looking at mantra and then chanting as a way to unburden us of our karmic load. It's a really beautiful practice also for mental discipline, particularly at this time where our thoughts might be sort of going everywhere. Okay. Om Bhur Om Bhuvaha Om Swaha Om Maha Om Janaha Om Tapaha Om Satyam Om Tatsavitu Varenyam Bhago Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Om Bhuvaha, Om Swaha, Om Maha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam, Om Tatsaviturvarenyam, Bhago Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yona Prachodaya. Om Bhur, Om Bhuvaha, Om Swaha, Om Maha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam, Om Tatsaviturvarenyam, Bhago Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And just sitting with your eyes closed, perhaps bringing your hands into prayer position over your heart and feeling the vibration of my voice or your own voice, if you chanted along with me, moving through your body, altering your frequency, elevating your vibration. Feeling that blessing in every energy center that travels along the length of your spine. And that might be where I would begin in my practice and in my morning practice, and then I would certainly move into fear releasing using tapping at some point in my practice, and that's what we're going to do together now. So I'm going to speak words that I'm intuiting on behalf of the group. You can follow with my words and repeat what I say out loud after me if they have resonance. The thing is, when we gather together, we get borrowed benefits. Even if the words don't exactly match what you're feeling right now, you will still be releasing that subconscious fear from your subtle anatomy that's blocking that free flow of life force to you. So there are borrowed benefits. You will also have the capacity to substitute with your own words if you prefer. And obviously, once you use this in your own sadhana in the coming days, you can use your own words. But the setup is the same. We tap on the side of the hand, and this is something you can do, by the way, for 30 minutes a day. It doesn't matter if you have any particular fear in your head. Oh, I think my mum is here. My mama taught me how to do this. My mama is the teacher of intuitive intelligence tapping in the Institute. And I'm sure I'm going to get feedback on this afterwards. But this process is informed by the work of Steve Wells from WA, as I said, and it's a really beautiful, simple practice that I just want you to have right now to help move you out of your fear response as quickly as possible. So if you feel fear rising, and even if you don't, in your early morning sadhana or whenever you're doing your sadhana with me, you just do this tapping on the side of your hand and you're going to get benefits even from that. But you're probably rocking some fear right now, my darlings. The world is an overwhelming place right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. So take some time to notice what you're feeling. And fear is anything that is not bliss, okay? So it can be a headache, it can be a backache, it can be feeling annoyed, it can be anxiety, it can be stress, it can be full-blown, rage, but it can be everything in between, anything that is not a state of bliss. So we're going to simply use the statement, and you can repeat after me now. We're going to do this for 3 layers, and everything that I say is what I'm intuiting on behalf of the group, but you can also add your own words if you prefer. I now release all my emotional attachment to my fear, or to this fear of the global pandemic. I now release all my emotional attachment to this fear of the global pandemic. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, let it go. And for yourself, if you were doing this without my guidance, you would just notice what comes up underneath that fear. And I'll guide us to another statement that I feel coming up beneath that fear. I now release all my emotional attachment to not knowing what is going to happen next. I now release all my emotional attachment to not knowing what is going to happen next. Closing down your eyes, taking a deep breath in, letting it go, noticing what comes up underneath that. And then opening your eyes, and the next statement that I'm intuiting on behalf of us all is, I now release all my emotional attachment to this fear of lack and scarcity. I now release all my emotional attachment to this fear of lack and scarcity. Closing down your eyes, taking a deep breath in through the nose, letting it go. When you're ready, opening your eyes, and we are going to leave that there. I want you to keep going through the layers. If you can feel more coming up for you, just keep going as I've taught you here. You will find that you'll hit the bottom of the barrel, if you like. You'll just find that you reach an end point where there's no more layers to that particular fear. And this, as I said, just tapping on the side of the hand for up to 30 minutes a day, it doesn't have to be all at once, is going to help keep you out of that fight or flight response and keep you in your highest form of intelligence, which is your intuition. And it just allows you to take action when you might feel hopeless or despairing or out of control. And certainly that practice is something that I use every day. It forms part of my daily devotion. I don't go into meditation or anything else without having met my fear, because fear is showing me where I'm out of balance and how to come back into balance. So it's a really powerful thing to work with rather than to ignore. Often we'll use our spiritual tools to bypass our feelings, and this is a way to get on board with them, stop resisting them, get radically accepting of them, and in that process you can start to change them. I'm probably going to get Angelique to come on and lead us in some group tapping, either here or in I Am Spiritually Fierce in the coming days, because she's the master, and I love it when she does that for me, and I'm sure you'll all benefit from that too. But so far we now have on day two practices. We have the Gayatri mantra and we have our tapping. And you can continue to use this, of course, today, tomorrow. I will come back. I'm so sorry it was so late today, but I will commit to coming back earlier tomorrow. There's a lot going on behind the scenes for the Institute right now and a lot of work happening, but it's all very exciting. It's a really great time for all of us who are in service to be innovative, to be creating new ways for people to work with us, and to really kind of expand into possibility and to see this as a preparation time, feel like a gestation period for when we can kind of move back out into the world with lots of exciting ways to serve. So I hope this has served you today. Use it all the time. Don't hold back on it. You can't really get it wrong. It's a really beautiful, simple, yet life-changing process. The science is phenomenal. I'll share some resources with you in the coming days around the power of tapping and the power of chanting. And tomorrow I'll be back. I'll figure out and announce tonight what time I'll be back tomorrow, so you can join me for day 3. And if this is your first live that you're catching, don't worry, you've just caught up. You can commit to going your sadhana for 5 days from today, so you'd go till Sunday, and just commit to taking this action regardless of how difficult life is right now. When we make a commitment to do something that's a bit uncomfortable, we get out of our fear and we start to feel empowered because we can take action. And there's no more powerful way to take action than this right now. So much love to you all. I'm so deeply grateful for your presence and to have such a robust and powerful community around me. I'm just really grateful for that, more than you can know. All my love.